You probably think you know how the game of money works. You've been told the same story since you were 5 years old. Go to school, get a good job, and save 10% of your paycheck in a diversified portfolio of mutual funds. Then, if you're lucky, by the time you're 65 and too tired to enjoy it, you can finally retire. This is the slow path, and for most people in 2026, it is a mathematical death sentence. The inflation we've seen over the last 5 years has turned the traditional savings account into a furnace where your purchasing power goes to die. If you are following the advice of your parents, you aren't building a future, you are financing a funeral for your freedom. But while you are grinding out 40 hours a week, there is a small group of people who have found a glitch in the matrix. They aren't smarter than you, and they didn't necessarily start with more money. They just realized that trading time for money is the most expensive mistake you can ever make. They aren't waiting 40 years for freedom. They are forcing the system to pay them every single month, starting now. They have moved from being consumers of products to being owners of the cash flow those products generate. They don't want $1 million. They want the $2,900 a month that makes the $1 million irrelevant. In this video, I am going to pull back the curtain on the dividend cheat code. I'm going to show you the exact strategy that allows regular people to generate $2,900 a month in completely passive income. We are going to break down the fast path to living off dividends, the specific, dangerous assets that the mainstream media is too scared to talk about, and the psychological trap that keeps 99% of investors broke while the top 1% gets free. By the end of this 16-minute masterclass, you won't just have a plan, you'll have the ultimate leverage over your boss and the banks. Before we unlock the vault, let me introduce myself. I am Ryan. I spent years obsessing over why the hardest working people I knew were always the most stressed about money, while the people who seemed to do nothing were building massive wealth. I realized the traditional financial advice was designed to keep you as a productive worker bee for as long as possible. I started this channel to give you the cheat codes to break those chains. If you are ready to stop being a product of the banking system and start being the owner of the machine, hit that subscribe button right now. We are building a community of people who refuse to wait until they're old to be free. Let's start with the dopamine trap of the growth investor. The human brain is hardwired for the big win. We love the story of the guy who bought a crypto coin for pennies and turned it into $1 million. This triggers a massive release of dopamine in the prefrontal cortex. It feels like winning the lottery. But here is the scientific reality. Growth is a gamble on the future, while income is a guarantee for today. When you invest for growth, you are a wealth speculator. You buy a stock hoping that in 10 years, someone else will be willing to pay more for it than they did. You are reliant on the greater fool theory. But while you are waiting for your big payday, you still have to pay rent. You still have to buy groceries. You are still enslaved to your paycheck because your portfolio doesn't actually do anything for them right now. You are paper rich, but cash poor. If the market crashes tomorrow, your growth portfolio evaporates, and your stress levels skyrocket because you have no cash flow to catch you. The dividend investor plays a completely different game. We don't care if the market goes up, down, or sideways. We care about the rent. When you own a dividend-paying asset, you aren't just a gambler. You are a landlord of the global economy. You are owning the machines that print money while you sleep. Think about the psychological relief of knowing that on the first of the month, before you even roll out of bed, your bills are already paid. That isn't just money, that is biological safety. It lowers your cortisol, it removes your survival anxiety, and it gives you the most powerful weapon in the world, the ability to walk away from any situation that doesn't serve you. This is the difference between relative wealth and absolute freedom. Why do most people fail to reach this level? It's because they are following the diversification lie. The mainstream financial advisors tell you to buy an S&P 500 index fund. They tell you that a 1.5% dividend yield is safe. But let's do the math that they don't want you to see. To generate $2,900 a month at a 1.5% yield, you need a portfolio of over $2.3 million. For the average person, that number feels impossible. It's so far away that it actually causes goal disengagement. Your brain sees a target that is too far off and simply stops trying. This is why most people give up and just spend their money on a new car or a vacation. They don't see a path to the finish line, so they decide to enjoy the present while they still can. But to live off dividends fast, you have to understand the income tipping point. There are specific sectors of the economy designed by the government to pay out almost all of their profits to shareholders. These are called REITs, BDCs, and closed-end funds. Because of the way they are taxed, they are legally required to distribute 90% of their taxable income. This allows you to achieve yields of 8, 10, or even 12% without taking the insane risks of penny stocks. At a 10% yield, that $2,900 a month target doesn't require $2 million. It requires $348,000. Now, I know what you're thinking. Ryan, $348,000 is still a lot of money. And you're right. But it is a target that is mathematically reachable within 5 to 7 years if you use the dividend snowball effect. When you stop chasing the growth mirage and start building an income engine, the math shifts in your favor. You are no longer trying to reach a mountain peak that is 10 miles high. You are building a wall, brick by brick, and every brick you lay starts paying you back immediately. Most people fail because they try to go from $0 to $3,000 overnight. That isn't how the human brain works. To stay engaged for the years it takes to build this, you have to hit psychological milestones. I call these the 7 layers of income. Layer 1 is the coffee phase. This is when your dividends pay for your daily habits. It might only be $30 a month, but for the first time in your life, your capital is buying your morning latte, not your labor. This is the proof of concept phase. Layer 2 is the subscription phase. Your Netflix, Spotify, and Amazon Prime are now free. You have effectively removed the leech class from your bank account. You are no longer being drained by recurring monthly costs because your digital soldiers are fighting them off for you. Layer 3 is the utility phase. Your phone bill and your internet are paid. This is where it starts to feel real. You realize that you have secured your connection to the world. You are plugged in for free. Layer 4 is the grocery phase. This is a massive psychological shift. When your investments feed you, your primal survival anxiety begins to vanish. You can walk into a store and know that the global economy is paying for the food on your table. Layer 5 is the transportation phase. Your car payment, insurance, and gas are covered. At this stage, you have mobility freedom. You can go anywhere, and it doesn't cost your life energy to get there. Layer 6 is the shelter phase. Your mortgage or rent is covered. This is the holy grail. When your dividends pay for your roof, you are effectively unfireable. You can lose your job and still have a place to sleep. Your boss no longer has leverage over your basic survival. Layer 7 is the lifestyle phase. This is the $2,900 mark. This is where your hobbies, your travel, and your luxury are funded by the system. This is where work becomes a choice, not a necessity. This is when you are truly financially dangerous. But I would be lying to you if I said it was all easy. There is a shadow side to this strategy that the gurus won't tell you about. It's called the yield trap. When you see a stock paying 20%, your lizard brain, the part of you that wants the big win, screams, buy it. But in the world of dividends, a yield that is too high is often a warning sign of a dying company. They are paying out more than they earn just to keep investors from fleeing. This is how you lose your principal while chasing a check. You might get a high dividend for 6 months, only for the stock price to drop 50% and the dividend to be cut to 0. This is yield chasing, and it is the fastest way to stay poor. To avoid this, you have to look for dividend aristocrats and income compounders. These are companies that have not only paid a dividend for 25 years or more, but have increased that payment every single year. They are the survivors. They have lived through the 2008 crash, the pandemic, and every recession in between. They have a moat around their business. When you own these companies, you aren't just getting a check. You are getting a raise every year without ever asking a boss for permission. You are participating in the growth of human productivity without having to be the one doing the work. Here is where the science of compounding interest meets the psychology of immediate gratification. The problem with traditional saving is that you don't feel the progress. You put money in, and maybe it goes up a little bit, but nothing in your life changes. But when you use a dividend reinvestment plan, or DRIP, you are creating a positive feedback loop. Every month, your check gets bigger. First, it buys one more share, then 10, then 100. Every share you add increases your next payout, which buys even more shares. This is the snowball effect in its purest form. It starts slow, but once it gains mass, it becomes an unstoppable force of nature. Most people quit in the first 2 years because the snowball is still small. They look at their $5 dividend and think, this isn't worth it. But they are failing to see the exponential curve. By year 5, that $5 has become $500. By year 10, it's $5,000. The key is to remove the human element. If you automate your reinvestment, you are buying more shares when the market is down and fewer when it is up. You are literally using the market's volatility to make yourself richer while you are busy living your life. The biggest hurdle to your freedom isn't the math. It's social compliance. You are going to have friends and family who tell you that you're being risky. They will tell you that you should just put your money in a savings account or buy a safe index fund. They will show you their growth portfolios that are up 20% this year. But look at their lives. Are they free? Or are they one corporate layoff away from a total financial collapse? The science of social proof explains that we are biologically wired to follow the herd. In the ancestral environment, leaving the herd meant being eaten by a predator. But in the modern economy, following the herd means a slow death of 40 years in a cubicle, trading your health for a paycheck, only to reach 65 and realize you've been optimized for someone else's profit. To be truly rich, you have to be willing to be misunderstood for a few years. You have to value your future freedom more than your current status. You have to stop buying the things that make you look rich so you can buy the things that actually make you rich. Every time you buy a status symbol on credit, you are signing a contract to stay a slave for another 6 months. Every time you buy a dividend soldier, you are signing a contract for 6 months of freedom. So, how do we build the actual portfolio? You need to think of your wealth as a fortress. The foundation is made of dividend aristocrats. These are your bedrock. They pay low yields, maybe 2 to 4%, but they are indestructible. These are the companies that provide the utilities, the food, and the essential services that the world cannot function without. The walls are made of REITs and BDCs. Real estate investment trusts allow you to be a landlord of hospitals, data centers, and cell towers. Business development companies allow you to be the bank for mid-sized American corporations. These provide the high yield of 7 to 10% that accelerates your timeline. They are the aggressive income generators that push you towards your goal. The watchtowers are covered call ETFs. These are the new high-tech tools of the dividend world. They use complex option strategies to turn the volatility of the stock market into immediate cash. These can pay yields of 12 to 15%. They are the secret sauce that allows you to hit that $2,900 mark without needing millions of dollars. When you combine these 3 layers, you have a portfolio that is diversified, resilient, and, most importantly, prolific. It doesn't just sit there, it produces. It is a living, breathing organism that feeds you. Most people think wealth is a number in a bank account. It isn't. Wealth is discretionary time. Imagine it's 5 years from today. You've followed the dividend cheat code. You've built your income fortress. You wake up on a Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. You don't have an alarm clock because you don't have anywhere you have to be. You walk to your kitchen, make a coffee, and open your brokerage account. You see that $3,000 has just been deposited. That money didn't come from your labor. It didn't come from you sitting in traffic for an hour. It didn't come from you sitting in a meeting that could have been an email. It came from the labor of thousands of employees at the companies you own. It came from the rent paid by businesses in the buildings you own. You look at your phone and see a frantic email from your boss about a crisis at the office. In the past, this email would have ruined your day. It would have sent your heart rate through the roof. But now, you smile. You realize that you don't even have to reply. You can say no. You can spend the day with your kids. You can go to the gym. You can travel to a country you've only seen on a map. This isn't a fantasy. It is the result of a specific set of mathematical choices. The millionaire dream is a ghost from the 90s. You don't need $1 million to be free. You need $2,900 a month in cash flow. If you are ready to stop being a consumer and start being a capitalist, you need to understand the first domino. You can't reach $3,000 a month until you reach $300 a month. And you can't reach $300 until you reach $30. There is a very specific threshold where your money starts growing faster than you can possibly spend it. It's the moment where the snowball becomes an avalanche. Most people never hit this threshold because they get distracted by the status games of the middle class. They buy the comfortable lifestyle and end up in the comfortable trap. They have the big house and the nice car, but they have zero freedom. They are one paycheck away from disaster, and they spend every Sunday night in a state of pre-work anxiety. You are different. You are watching this because you want the cheat code. You want to be financially dangerous. Being dangerous means the system no longer has a hook in you. When you have $10,000 in dividend-paying assets, something happens to your brain. You stop viewing yourself as an employee and start viewing yourself as an owner. Your confidence increases. Your FU money starts to grow. You realize that the game is beatable. In my next video, I am going to break down the $10,000 rule that makes you financially dangerous. This is the exact dollar amount where your psychology shifts from saving to owning. I am going to show you exactly how to hit that first major milestone in record time, the 3 specific assets to buy to trigger the avalanche, and how it gives you the ultimate leverage over your boss and the banks. Click the video on the screen right now, and let's make you dangerous. I will see you over there.